Hi, this is DarkFox127 and welcome to a creation kit video. Today is going to be a developer's video for my brand new mod, Enchanted Ammo. Now, those of you who are aware of my previous work may well know that I have had two versions of this mod previous, called Enchanted Arrows, and then I did one later on called Enchanted Arrows 2.0 and Enchanted Arrows and Bolts. So the bolts obviously included Dawn Guards, bolts and stuff, and I never really got around to adding Dragonborn stuff. And it went under the idea of being able to find these enchanted arrows and bolts on enemies and being able to create them yourself using a Kruzik Zun enchanter, which was sort of a normal enchanter table, arcane enchanter with loads of crap dumped on it. And I am hoping to make this new version called Enchanted Ammo, which will cover everything but not necessarily require you to have all the DLCs. It's going to have everything in one. So that's what this is going to be about. First off, you will probably have noticed, my regular viewers, that I have a new headset, which is a Turtle Beach headset. It's only a cheap one, it's only stereo, not like 5.1 surround. I needed something that's going to be nice, comfortable and fancy just to do these tutorials, and I got one. So eventually, because I've been working with a crappy Chinese headset, which to be fair, it worked for quite some time for £3 until I trod on it. So it also doesn't matter how much duct tape you put on an old Corsair headset that's falling apart, it's going to fall apart, and duct tape, it unfortunately can't fix everything. So yep, that's that. But I thought, what is better than after a hard day's work than sitting down and modding the crap out of Skyrim? So I thought I'd do a developer's video for this, because the only other developer's videos I've done are for Corinthia Tower, and I modded the hell out of that, and that isn't quite finished. But anyway, we're going to get back to Enchanted Ammo. So as you can see here, I have created a whole load of arrows already. I've started completely from scratch. I want this version to really fit in the game nicely. So I'm being really careful about what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sort of all the enchantments make sense and be a little more interesting. So rather than just like 10 points of fire damage, there'll be a chance of something else happening. The perfect example at the moment is my frost arrow, which does 10 points of frost damage with a 10% chance of freezing the target, which actually works. It's brilliant. But anyway, yep. It's just going to be like a laid back version of one of my tutorials. I'm not going to be like dead serious. I'm just going to be, you know, laid back, mod a bit, let you guys see what I do when I'm modding, how I go about modding. You maybe might learn one or two things in the process. I do have a tutorial on creating enchanted arrows, but you might learn a bit more by just watching me now, as I think back then there was a few things that I was getting wrong. So we're going to find out what we want to do next. Now, some of you might recognize this. It's the Excel spreadsheet that I created to show people all of the types of arrows and bolts that you could get in my previous version of this mod, which I'm just going to scrap. I'm not going to update. That's just left. I'll probably leave it up on Steam. I'll probably take it down from Nexus, but I'll make sure that it is available somewhere for people that want to still use that version, because some people might not like the new version. But yeah, I've been sort of graying out the ones that I have done that I've re-implemented in. This information's sort of wrong, so don't go by this. This is just roughly knowing what type of arrow. And I'm trying to do a few a day. So let's get started. I'm probably just going to go through and do one type and then end the video, because I'm not going to sit here for like an hour. So this is just a bit of fun. Let's have a look. What have we got? I've done most of them, sort of the standard stuff. And we've got Distraction Arrow, which I did have fixed to just Elven. I could spread that across all types of arrow. Some things should really be left specific to certain arrows, like the Illuminated Arrow. I actually went through and created like 11 versions of this, only to realise that it should really only be on a glass arrow. So there's only one constructible version of it, but there's actually 11 hidden in here, so that's like a little bit of secret information, an egg if you will. So certain arrows will only be on one type of arrow because they make sense, and other arrows will be sort of, other enchantments rather, will be able to just be spread across any type of arrow. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create a vanilla version first, and then once that's released and people are like, wow, I'll release the DLC versions. I'll get to work and do those. So let's get to it. Let's do something. Let's mod something. Let's do the oh no. Let's do the silent moons. Silent moons. Anyone who has played the hell out of the game will know of the silent moons enchantment. If you don't, then I'll leave a link. I'll leave a link to the wiki, and you can go and find it. But it's just near Whiterun. There's like this place where you can find the silent moons enchantment, where things are enchanted under the moon, and it's a cool sort of effect. So first thing I do when I want an effect on an arrow is I go right down to basics and I go to magic effect, and we want silent moon. There we go. There we go. So light damage. It goes while the moons are out. Burns target for so many magic points, and I'll decide that later. This sort of little description here never really matters with enchanted arrows, because when you go onto the arrow itself, the ammo if you will here, when you go onto this itself, you type the description there, and this description is always used. This only gets used when it's on like a spell or an enchantment or something. It gets dragged off the magic effect info. So this doesn't really matter, but I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm just going to leave it there. So it's also useful for editing. And we are going to make a new version of this. So it's going to be EA, and I use my little coding system. EA for enchanted ammo, M for magic effect. And then I put what the effect is. So that's going to be silent moons, and I'll leave the rest. Now this is fire and forget on contact, so it's already set up for what I need. It's set up to already be put on an item, onto a weapon, so it's all good. Whereas if this was like an effect I was going to be adjusting and making it work with the arrow, I'd have to make sure it's fire and forget on contact. I might have to change a couple of things like duration and stuff like that, but we're good for silent moons. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And it's going to say, do you want to create a new form? I'm going to say yes, because I haven't duplicated this yet, and that would override the old one. So I'm going to go yes, make a new form. And if we go back to magic effect, there it is. EAM silence. Silence. Oh no, no, that's the wrong one. Silent, sorry. There it is, silent moons. That's cool. Right, there we go. Next thing is you make it an enchantment, as if you were going to put it on a weapon. So what I do at the moment is I go EAE for enchantment, grab one of my existing ones, and then just change it. Just speed things up a little. Silent moons, double click there. And I'm probably going to leave it at 10 and 10 for now. I'll probably go back and change all this. At the moment it's just sort of getting the arrows created, the effects created, and then once they're all there, there'll be like hundreds of combinations. Once I've created all of those, I'll probably go back and just sort of tweak the effects to make them more interesting, like the frost one. But that's it for now. Silent moons, enchantment, fire and forget, on contact, it's all set up. 10 points for 10 seconds, click OK. Going to create new form so I don't overwrite the fire one, screw up all my fire arrows. So we've got the magic effect onto the enchantment, and now we want to get into the real fun part. We want to go to the explosion. Now the explosion is what we're going to see on impact. So what are we going to need for silent moons? Sometimes you don't necessarily need an explosion on every arrow. I mean, you do on like the fire one, the frost one, the shock one, the soul trap one. You want those cool effects to show off and say, look, I've just fired an enchanted arrow. For the silent moons, I'm not quite so sure. I think I know what I'm going to use. There's sort of like a nice green effect, if we can find it. I think that's the one I'm looking for. And click to view it. Let's zoom out a bit. Let's have a look. Now you don't really have to worry about the radius, because you can change that in a moment, which I'll do, but that is the effect that I want, so I'm going to edit that. Takes a little longer to edit explosions, take a little while to come up. EAEXP for explosion, another firework, thank you very much. Halloween, and everyone thinks it's bonfire night and they can just blow stuff up. I don't know. Okay, where was I? So this is going to be my Silent Moons explosion. And enchantment here. So this is where we can link to our enchantment. So EAE. Silent Moons. And yes, you did just see, I'll just tell you now, blindness. I've figured out a way of having blindness affect NPCs and the player in different ways. If this blindness arrow was to hit an NPC, then it would have the Falmer effect for blindness, so they won't be able to see you, but they can still hear you, so it'll actually blind an NPC, hopefully, for about 8 seconds. And then I've made it so that if the arrow hits the player, or the radius of the enchantment hits the player, it will recognise that it's the player, and then actually blind the player, so it'll make the screen go black for about 8 seconds, and people will still be able to beat the hell out of you. So this is really going to be one of... I'm going to add this arrow to the Falmer. It's going to be one of those real pain in the arse things. It's going to... As if Falmer weren't challenging enough, but it's going to add that extra bit of difficulty to fighting the Falmer archers anyway. So they'll be firing, and they're most likely going to use these arrows. I'm going to try and make it so that not every one of them has them, otherwise that's going to be really annoying if you've got like 3 Falmer archers just blinding the hell out of you. But that will be cool. You'll be going along, there'll be Falmer, and then Archer might hit you with one of these arrows, and you'll be blinded for 8 seconds. So what I could do is maybe see if I can set up a spell to defend against it. Now I'm thinking. But anyway, where were we? Silent Moons. Yeah, that's going to be a really cool arrow. I don't think that's really ever been done before. I've not seen it in a mod. So I'm going to set that to Silent Moons. I've already got the sound set up. Firebolt? Are you kidding? No. No. That's rubbish. We want a better sound than that. Let's have Illusion Fire. Now, yes. Bit awkward for me to set sounds up really at the moment because I'm using the new Audio Overhaul mod, and if you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link in the description if I remember. That is awesome. It makes sounds in Skyrim so much more realistic and epic. So I'm not actually going to hear the same sounds as you guys unless you go and install the mod. And it does sort of help this mod out sound-wise. Makes it sound so much better. But yeah, here we go. Something to mention. Force, how much force it's going to hit NPCs with. I don't really want it to be knocking NPCs over, so also here you can see knock down living axes. I've put never. I just wanted to hit them and put a little bit of force on, so 1. Don't want to cause any damage. I want the enchantment to judge all the damage that needs to be caused. Plus you got damage from the arrow naturally. The radius is going to be the radius that it can hit someone. Anyone within this radius of the arrow will get hit by the enchantment. The is radius is the radius that you will see the effect. So if I made that like ridiculously big, the effect's going to be much larger, and that's where I said that when we were previewing it looked quite big. It doesn't matter because I've narrowed it down. I've sort of notched it down to 175, so it's going to be like a little poof, which is much better. Placed object. Don't want to place object. Don't want to put anything down. Fireworks. I know where I'd shove them. Right. I don't know why I'm ticking always uses world orientation. I'm just ticking it anyway. I'm not actually sure what it does, but most of my arrows have that ticked. So, my explosions anyway. Click OK. Click yes because I'm making a reference. In my previous tutorials and stuff I always duplicate, but I don't know why. I'm just getting into the habit with Enchanted Arrows. It's just so much quicker just to rename something and then make a new reference off it when I'm confirming. That makes sense. But anyway, once we've got our explosion, we've got our magic effect to our enchantment to our explosion. Next up is the projectile. This is where things get real fun. I'm not going to go through and bore the hell out of you and make every single projectile and then every single ammo and then every single constructible item. I'll just make one to show you how it all goes, how it all works. Just for some fun. And what are we doing? Something I'm going to mention is that another big reason I'm redoing this mod, and it sounds stupid, it would definitely sound stupid if this was the only singular reason I was recreating this mod. I noticed something. I was using the same... What in the love of God is that? Okay, let's look at an arrow. I was using exactly the same projectile for every single arrow and every single arrow type in my previous versions of the mod. Now, although this isn't something that people usually notice, anyone that would like pause the game with TFC1 and go off their camera view of their player and then look at what they're firing, they would notice that they could be firing a glass arrow which was enchanted, but it would actually look like the projectile of an iron arrow, which is what I duplicated like hundreds of times. And that wasn't something that could easily be fixed. I thought the best way of doing this is just to start the mod again. Basically, the projectiles are all wrong. So now I'm creating the specific projectile for the specific material of the arrow. Hopefully that makes sense to people. If not, then don't worry about it. Just something I thought I'd mention, but that's one of the reasons why I'm redoing this entire mod. So far, we've got over 100 arrow combinations, and I've not even started yet. So this is going to be one huge mod. Hopefully it gets some damn good recognition, because there are still great mods out there. There's a lot of people still out there modding. There's still a lot of people out there downloading mods. There's still a lot of people out there playing Skyrim, which I'm quite surprised that. I thought it really would drop. But seems the world of Skyrim can always have something more added. So we're going to create a projectile now, so I'm going to use one of my current ones and I'm just going to tweak it to be Silent Moons. Can't type. Oh, cannot type today. That's what happens when you spend most of the day typing. Silent Moon's arrow and explosion is now going to be our Silent Moon's explosion. So this is going to be an ancient Nord arrow enchanted with the Silent Moon's enchantment. I'm going to leave everything how it is, detection level as normal. Okay, create that new form. Now we make the ammo. Let's edit an ancient Nord one again. Can't type today. Silent Moons. Silent Mons. No, Silent Moons. There we go. Okay, Silent Moons. Let's go down all these wonderful arrows, for crying out loud. How many are there? And there we go. Silent Moons, Ancient Nord. So we just select our projectile. So it's just like tracing through the steps. I'm going to make the description, what was it, 10 points for 10 seconds. So, what was it, 10 points of... £10 of light damage while the moons are out for 10 seconds. I'll probably adjust that later. I don't think I like the wording, but we'll do that for now, and we'll click OK. Night. Oh dear. That's going to have to be light, not night. There we go. Does 10 points of light damage while the moons are out for 10 seconds. So that'll only work at night, basically. Otherwise, it's just an ordinary arrow. OK. Click yes, and we're going to save it. And hope it doesn't crash. There we go. So that is all good. Shall I go in game and show you? Actually, I'm going to show you the test room, because what I always do when I'm making a new set of arrows is I have this test room now where you can just go in and try out every single arrow. So each one of these boxes has a different type of enchantment with one of each material of ammo. Damn fireworks. Okay. So I'm going to make this box. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to make a version for Silent Moons. And then I'd go through and I'd flick all these to being Silent Moon arrows, but I haven't made them all yet, so I'll have to do that later on. Where's it gone? There it is. Create new form. Okay. So now we're going to have a Silent Moons collection of enchanted arrows. And yeah, what the hell. I think we'll quickly go in game and we'll fire one of those off. But just to make this video not too large in file size, I'm going to say it now rather than the end of the video. if you enjoyed this video, if you find it helpful or quite entertaining to watch or whatever comment you want to leave, leave that in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new to my channel and this is maybe the first video that you're watching, then please go and check out all my tutorials. Go check out my anti-social websites, my main website. I do try and keep them updated. And all I'm going to do now is just hop in game. We're going to see if this new arrow is working. Hopefully it is, and I haven't made a balls up. And if I have made a balls up, then it's all in good fun. Okay, so here we are on the menu, and we are going to go COC EA test. And find where I've hidden my controller. Oh. And click off all the usual junk that shows up. And go to our new little chest for Silent Moons. Find our Ancient Nord one. Yeah, this guy's just here for testing purposes. He's quite a lot of fun. He just reads books when he's not getting arrows shot at his face. So there you go. Auto arrows on snout type arrow, and hopefully we've got this right.
By Smear, you won't leave here alive.
Well, it peed off our test prisoner, so it's all good. And while he beats the crap out of me, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.
You call yourself a Nord?
No, am I a Nord? I don't know.